Good morning, I'm Tom at Ledgemere Heritage Farm here in southern Maine. I've got this 1948 John Deere A that was my cousin's that I've been working on, and I've got a lot of the bugs worked out of it, I think. What I want to do today is I got to fix the ground. There's a little bit of rust going on between this battery compartment right here, which is on the newer, the late Model A's, and this carried over to I think the rest of the two-cylinder tractors throughout their production. Was the battery box got moved underneath the seat, which is a great idea because it keeps it away from the gasoline. But unfortunately, the battery box itself is connected to the chassis of the tractor by a couple of bolts, and that's the ground. So the battery is grounded to this box, and then the box in turn is grounded to the chassis through a couple of those bolts. And when I was messing around with this the other day, I saw fire in there, so that's never a good thing around batteries. So I'm going to take the battery out and probably pull those bolts out, clean the connections, replace everything. I've got a new ground strap. This one, it's not terrible, but it's not that great. It's not the best one I've ever seen. So I'm going to change that out. Right now I've just got the temporary ground here running down to the drawbar to test things. So I'll do this first, and then I've got a couple of new switches for the dash, the on-off switch. It had a toggle switch on it before, which wasn't original. I don't know what actually was original to this tractor. I know my cousin's a 1950B, it didn't have an on-off switch. You just basically shut the throttle off to shut the tractor off. You essentially stalled it out. But that had a magneto in it, so I'm sure that's different. With a battery ignition, you have to have a way to shut the battery off going to the points, or you'll end up burning the points out of it. So without any further ado, let's get this torn apart, and my goal today is to see if I can get this tractor out of here and bring the Super C in, because I want to bring the Super C in. I've got a couple things to do to that. So stick around. If you haven't already, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you on board. Make sure you hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any future videos. So let's get started. I'm going to climb up here and see what we need to do. I had to go find a 1/2-inch socket that was 6-point. I hate 12-point sockets. They are wonderful for rounding off the heads of bolts. I don't really need a deep socket, but it was the first one I came to that was 6-point. I'm not even sure the reason behind a 12-point socket. That's supposed to be the original bolt, because it's got a square nut on it. But that's just the old ground. So I'll just throw it in the box over here for now. Oh, when I was clearing out the garage the other day, those of you who've been with me for a little bit will remember last year I had this 130 in here I was working on, and I took this out and I dropped it. I couldn't find it because I wanted to put this back in when I sold it and take the touch control temperature gauge sensor out, because it's a different one of these that has a hole in it. Well, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find this. So I ended up selling it with the part on it that I didn't want to sell, and lo and behold, guess what I found? It's a bit of a challenge to get this out. Guess you have to go around. There's the battery cable here. But yeah, it's cut out perfectly for all those bolts. And let's see, that ground strap right back around. So I really want this grounded. Could just come out like this. I think that'll still give me enough room. Enough room. Let's grab the battery and see if it does fit. Just barely. But I knew I shouldn't have taken care of that socket set. I usually don't crank down the bolts on the hot side. I make it tight. I don't typically crank it down. Reason behind that is it makes it really easy to disconnect it. I mean, you don't want it to fall off, you know, you don't want to lose connection, but it should, I like it so I can take it off. So there's that. Find the seat, put that back on. So I've got everything put back together. As far as I can tell, I've got to unhook this, which is dangerous, but I have a 2x6 under it for the moment. And I put this in my pocket so don't let me lose this drilled pin. That's very important. Well, that was dumb. I thought I shut the fuel off, but I didn't. So hopefully it's not all in the crankcase. It looks like whatever amount I put in there the other day is still in it, which is negligible. Check the oil. One thing I keep forgetting to do is check the oil. I'm an idiot. There's a little test cock right here, and it's really simple. It's not as simple as a dipstick, but it's pretty close. All you do is put a bucket under it, and you turn the bolt until a little bit of oil comes out. And if oil comes out, it's good. And I can see it looks like fresh oil. So he changed it last year when he had it in. It doesn't smell like there's gas in it. I got a brown nose now, but it didn't come out like water. If you open that test cock up and it runs out like water, that was a bad thing, but